But here's the super exciting thing, is when you start to get anywhere near any of these numbers, it actually becomes much, much easier to surpass your goals and to get very, very rich. The hardest part is behind you. For example, it might take you about 10 years to get $100,000 saved up by putting $8,000 to $10,000 away in the stock market each year. But once you have $100,000 and maybe you bring down your investing to just $500 per month, it'll take you only 5 years to get the next $100,000. And in 10 years, you could have over $350,000. That compound interest really starts working in your favor once you have some stacked up, and it just keeps getting easier and easier to surpass those goals. In this video, I'm going to explain how much you should have saved and invested by each age. And if you're behind from what I suggest, that's totally okay. This is just going to give you some information and possibly some motivation to help light a fire up underneath you to get you to that spot as soon as possible. And I apologize ahead of time if you hear something in my voice. I'm getting over a little cold, but this video topic is very important, so the show had to go on. We all know it's important to invest, but we may not really have an actual target. When you don't have a goal or target, you don't know if you're on the right track or not. I've worked with many hopeful retirees who have been diligent and put away money every single month for like 20 years into their 401k, but along the way, they never really figured out exactly how much they probably should be putting it away. And by the time it was time to put the finishing touches on things to hopefully retire in the next year or two, there just wasn't enough funds there, and so they had to work for an extra 5 years or so. Now, as you know, I am a university professor, and one of the drills that I work with my students on is how to make a proper goal. And the best type of goal is called a SMART goal. A SMART goal is one that's specific, one that's measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. So like if you wanted to lose weight, a bad goal might be something like, I hope to lose some weight. A better goal might be something like, within 2 months, I plan to lose 5 pounds. The way that I plan to do this is by cutting down calories about 500 per day and hitting the gym at least 4 times per week. All of that was very specific, time-based, it was achievable, it's relevant, and it's very easy to measure whether you're on the right track or not. And specifically within finances, when you're making this type of a goal, the biggest one to me is time. But when we look at retirement investing, it's hard sometimes because it's such a big number and so far away that we need to start making those goals a lot closer and making them smaller. So that's why you want to know where your net worth is today, and then possibly a goal to be shooting for in the next 5 years, and just something that keeps you on track and on the path to success. So real quick, net worth in a very simplified version, since you know we love simplified around here, is defined as the value of assets a person or corporation owns minus the liabilities they owe. So how to quickly calculate your net worth to see where you're at today. And I'll go ahead and link to the tool that I'm using down below. It's totally free. So using this net worth calculator, we can just start plugging in things that you own. So let's say you own $80,000 worth of equity in your house. You have $15,000 in your checking account, $50,000 in your savings, $120,000 in your retirement account. You own a car, and that equals about $18,000. On the real estate loan itself, you still have $120,000 to pay off. You have a little bit of credit card debt, and you have a little bit of student loans. You can see here that the assets that you do own is $283,000, whereas the liabilities is $133,000. So your net worth would be $150,000. You're taking the assets minus the liabilities, and that equals your total net worth. And the reason we want to look at your net worth and not just how much you have sitting in the savings account is because, just like you saw on that net worth calculator, you could have a bunch of money sitting in your savings account, but if you also have a bunch of money in credit card debts or other personal loans, your liabilities are canceling out your assets, because if those payments became due, you'd have to use your assets to pay for them. So in actuality, you're kind of at even. So that's why it's better to look at net worth versus just how much you have saved or invested. But now that you know how to figure out your net worth and you know that number, then we can move on. So how much should you have saved or invested? How much you should have saved will depend on your age, your career, your lifestyle, and your life circumstances. Fidelity, for example, recommends having saved 3 times your annual salary by the time you're 40 across all your retirement accounts. But with a number like that, you either have it or you don't. And if you're over 40, what do you do with that? And if you're 35 and you're just starting out, and you see a number like that, probably won't even try. So here's the average net worth by age, so that if you're nowhere near where you should be right now, maybe it'll give you a goal or at least something to shoot for within the next 5 years, and if not, then for sure within the next 10 years to keep you on that path. After I go over the average net worths by age, I'll explain how you can get to your personal goal way faster. So for the age category of 20 to 24, the average net worth for someone in that age group is $120,896. But hold on real quick, because yes, this is the average in that age category, but there's a big difference between average and median. Average is calculated by dividing the sum of the values in the set by their number. So if we had 10 people and one made $1 million per year and the other 9 in that group each made $50,000 per year, the average of the 10 would actually come out to $145,000. Now, obviously, of the 10 people in this group, the average person doesn't make anywhere near $145,000 if 9 out of the 10 make $50,000. So this number is skewed badly. That's why I also looked up the median of these groups, so that could give you a little bit more of an accurate depiction of where people actually are within this spread. Median is the middle number in the data set. So in that example, the median would be $50,000, which is much more accurate for understanding this information here. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to find what the average person is making in that scenario, not what the actual average number is compared from 50,000 to 1,000,000. So it helps to really define what it is that you're looking for when we're looking through data. Both are very important numbers for you to understand, but as far as your anxiety and stress, the more realistic number that you should kind of be looking at to say, where am I at? Based on where other people actually are would be the median. But then use the average number as maybe more of like an inspiration or a motivation to hopefully hit that at some point. So then the median net worth for 20 to 24 is $10,800. And so that's a huge difference between those two numbers, right? So the middle range of people in that age group have a net worth of a little over $10,000. For age 25 to 29, the average net worth is $120,185, and then the median net worth is $30,160. For age 30 to 34, the average net worth is $258,073, where the median net worth is $89,801. From age 35 to 39, the average net worth is $501,289, and the median net worth is $141,200. And so I'm not going to read off every single line, but I'll go every 10 years. So from age 40 to 44, the average net worth is $590,718 with a median net worth of $134,730. From age 50 to 54 would be an average net worth of $1,132,532 and a median net worth of $272,800. From 60 to 64, an average net worth of $1,675,214 with a median net worth of $394,010. And then from age 70 to 74, the average net worth is $1,714,085 and a median net worth of $433,100. And as you see there, once you hit like that 65 age group and down, the average net worth starts actually dwindling a little bit because people are in their retirement age at that point and they're actually taking from that money and not making any income. But here's the super exciting thing is when you start to get anywhere near any of these numbers, it actually becomes much, much easier to surpass your goals and to get very, very rich. The hardest part is behind you. For example, it might take you about 10 years to get $100,000 saved up by putting $8,000 to $10,000 away in the stock market each year. But once you have $100,000 and maybe you bring down your investing to just $500 per month, it'll take you only 5 years to get the next $100,000. And in 10 years, you could have over $350,000. As far as figuring out exactly what your personal goal should be, Fidelity's guideline would be to aim to save at least 1 times your salary by age 30, then 3 times your salary by age 40, 6 times by 50, 8 times by 60, and 10 times by 67, which is when they recommend to retire. And speaking of the smart, shorter term time goals from before, doing this should keep you on track and give you tangible goals to shoot for at the time being. The biggest way you'll actually see net worth go up is by keeping debt and spending low while investing 10 to 15% of your paycheck consistently. As far as exactly what steps to follow to increase that net worth the fastest, watch this video in the most optimal order of what to do with your money. And if you want to know exactly what to invest in, watch this video because it goes over exactly what 90% or more of my portfolio is made up of and why.